Howdy folks, welcome to this other video. I just want to let you all know the Seidelmon is taking a break if you haven't seen the last video. I am still working on them, just the next one I'm working on is going to be a really big Seidelmon video, so hopefully enjoy this other content whilst Seidelmon works on, and I hope you like it. Howdy folks, and welcome back to Making Custom Pikmin. It's been around 10 months since I did my last video on Making Custom Pikmin. I made that first episode to celebrate the announcement of Pikmin 4, and I'm making this video to celebrate the release of Pikmin 4, even though the game's been out for about 2 months, and I actually made all these designs like 6 months ago, so before the game even came out. Yeah, I've kind of messed up in actually uploading these videos. I pre-made a bunch of them. I'm now kind of working my way through releasing them, but either way, that's not important. Let's cut the flower and jump straight to designing our first custom Pikmin. Now, I understand that Pikmin is one of the more niche Nintendo franchises, so if you're not 100% sure what Pikmin is, I recommend watching the first video I did on this, because I explained Pikmin what it is, and I don't want to repeat myself, because if you've already seen that first episode, then it'll be boring. So if you don't know what Pikmin is, rather watch that first episode, or just Google what Pikmin is, or just don't complain about you don't know what Pikmin are when watching this video, okay? Okay. So jumping straight in, these 3 Pikmin were more so based on the trailers we had for Pikmin 4. In the first episode, we only had the announcement that yes, there'll be a Pikmin 4. We didn't actually know anything else about it, so I had nothing to predict, so I more so just based my Pikmin designs off of my Equipment-y designs, which are my original characters. Well, I kind of like Pikmin, kind of not. It's not important. But by the time I was designing these guys, I did actually have, trailers of the games. I had things to actually predict designs off of, And realising how close my Crystal Pikmin design from the first episode was really close to the official Ice Pikmin design, what was revealed a few months later, I kind of jumped into this episode trying to see if I can strike gold again, see what I can predict, and well, you'll be surprised what I came up with. Not this one though, this is not one of the cases I predicted. This is the mining Pikmin. You see, in the Pikmin 4 trailers, it introduced a new concept in Pikmin 4, and that was the ability to climb up walls. That was never in any previous game. And also new in the trailer was resources. When you broke down walls or killed enemies, you appeared to have gathered resources, what you could use to build walls or bridges. So the thought process was, I liked the idea of maybe a Pikmin what didn't need to use climbable walls. It could go up any walls. Big thing about all Pikmin games is their replayability. The whole point is you beat the game and then you jump straight back in with more knowledge so you can try and beat the game quicker. And mining Pikmin, well, they would save you time because you wouldn't need to spend time and resources building up the walls. You can just send the mining Pikmin to, dig and climb their way up the walls anyway to collect treasure or more resources. And since the trailer showed a bigger focus on exploration, I liked the idea that these Pikmin were made for exploring. Like I said, they could climb up walls, they could break walls a lot faster because of their rock arms, they could attack enemies more efficiently. I like the idea that they could be like, dirt mounds, what only mining Pikmin could actually, dig through with their tough arms and head, and dig tunnels to get to other locations. Which is kind of funny because, again, Pikmin 4 does have that, so I kind of predicted it. Except it was also kind of in Pikmin 3, so yeah, we'll call that a 50-50. It is funny though, because I specifically designed them with a hard hat, because I was predicting maybe a new type of hazard, what wasn't literally crushing, but something perhaps like falling on your head, almost like a stalagmite. When you're exploring a cave, a spiky thing would fall from the sky and would crush your Pikmin, unless they were the mining ones, because they've got the little rock hard hats. And that's kind of funny, because Pikmin 4 did end up introducing the new spike hazard, where spiked enemies can, stab and kill your Pikmin, unless they're the rock Pikmin. So I kind of predicted it, which is kind of funny in a way. This was also based on the trailer, because the trailer introduced caves, again, returning from Pikmin 2. And since the overworlds appeared so luscious and large and explorable, I like the idea that maybe caves were as well. So these mining Pikmin would have been perfect for, digging through hard rock, building tunnels, digging up walls to make them climbable for your captain and other Pikmin, and, to me it just made sense as a reasonable, prediction, And I also imagined the idea that caves would be dark, so mining Pikmin would have these little light bulbs, what would actually help glow in the dark to help them see. Which is kind of funny because Pikmin 4 also introduced dark caves where you need light upgrades to see better. I'm not saying I predicted everything in Pikmin 4, I just kind of think they're, funny coincidences, Because obviously I'm not the first person to think of a dark cave and a light bulb to see better, I just think it's kind of interesting. Also, sorry if the audio keeps, cutting and having weird spaces like that. I'm actually recording this during a heat wave and it's really hot and I keep breathing. So I keep cutting out my breathing because it's very loud for some reason. I can only guess. because it's so hot. I would apologise for breathing, wouldn't I? Anyway, keep moving on. Yeah, so mining Pikmin. Since Pikmin 4 introduced, caves again, I was thinking back to Pikmin 2, where, caves were also a thing. And I think back to the purple and white Pikmin, both Pikmin types that were introduced in Pikmin 2, and exclusively found in caves. So I like the idea of making a mining Pikmin, thinking about another Pikmin type what was exclusively, found in caves, and you could bring them out to help in the overworld. Because looking at that first Pikmin 4 trailer, it appeared that ice Pikmin were also discovered in caves, so I was assuming they were going to do what they did in Pikmin 2, where they just introduced new Pikmin types where you could only found in caves, and then you could bring them up to the overworld. And it's funny because, again, I was kind of right on that prediction, kind of wrong. You can find new Pikmin types in caves, but you can also don't. It's weird. Does that count as a spoiler? It goes without saying that if you don't want spoilers for Pikmin 4, you shouldn't be watching a video talking about Pikmin. I'm just making sure no one gets spoiled watching this video. Because I would hate being spoiled myself, so I'm giving a fair warning. 5 minutes in. Oops. But either way, folks, there's no need to ramble more than I need to. I know, first time for everything. This is the mining Pikmin, a type I'd imagine being great for carrying, breaking walls, carrying resources, and carrying smaller things like nuggets or bridge pieces, and specifically digging and maybe building things. Good for attacking enemies and immune to being hit by spikes from the top, and faster in caves because of its light bulb. I would imagine if this was in a real game, its weak points would be the fact that when it's out on the overworld, outside of caves, it actually struggles a lot. They're still good at, building and digging walls and things. I just like the idea that maybe they get lost a lot easier in the overworld. They're a lot slower, their pathfinding's a lot more wonkier. They evolve to survive in caves. When they're out in the overworld, brought out, they don't do so well. Now, either way, folks, before I move on to the next Pikmin type, there was a new thing I'd like to introduce you all to. Science! Well, biology to be more specific. Personally, when designing characters, fictional or based on real life things, I like to think of their real life biology. How would they function if they were alive? How would their biology work? How would their atomic structures work? I'd love to eventually explain how characters like, Confuzzle, Pipe Up, Redface, hello, and explain how they could really exist in the real world with biology. Like, did you know Redface cries 8 tears a second, which is 24 times more than the average person? Probably explains why he's red all the time. Or the idea of, using real-life biology and science to figure out how Pipe-Up's skin can be flame-resistant, like sweating TBBPA, which is a known carcinogen. But, it'd make it fire-resistant. I think that'll be just fun to explore these fictional characters and add some realism to them, because I think that's interesting. But since I'm not really making any original characters in this episode, I'm, doing Pikmin. I thought it'd be fun to answer the age-old question on Pikmin biology. Is it a plant or is it an animal? But I'm not going to be answering that question alone, dear viewer, for it might not be incredibly obvious, but I'm an idiot. So I've got a very special friend with her own brand new segment to help me out. Allow me to introduce to you all... 3, 2, 1.
Soziris Back biology! Patent pending!
Don't sing that part.
Howdy everyone, and welcome to
Soziris Back biology!
Is that gonna play every time?
Yeah, I rigged it up wrong.
Oh, great way to start. Well, anyway, before we determine if a pigment is a plant or an animal, we first need to establish what makes a plant or an animal in the first place. In terms of what we're looking for, a plant is determined a plant by its ability to produce food for itself. It doesn't need to hunt for it, it simply just makes it out of the sunlight. Whilst animals specifically take food from other organisms, whether it's by hunting or scavenging.
We're all picking up a KFC.
I mean, kinda? You are taking the food from another source, so I guess that would make you an animal.
I am pretty wild.
Wait. You? Wild? You're about as wild as sour cream. Whoa!
Who was that?
Nothing!
Well, anyway, so although Pikmin do take nutrients from wild animals or pellets, like an animal would, they only do it for their own reproduction. But when it comes to just eating and living, they don't really seem to eat. They drink nectar, yeah, but they don't seem to need it for their own survival. We never see a Pikmin specifically starve to death. So this would indicate that they make their own food from the sun using the leaves on their head. Although in Pikmin 2 and 4, you do take Pikmins down into the caves, dark places where sunlight isn't present, and yet you still never see a Pikmin starve to death. And even if you argue that it's video game logic that Pikmin in your squad just don't starve, in Pikmin 4 you specifically find Pikmin in caves that, despite appearing to have lived there for a a long time still don't appear malnourished. In fact, Pikmin can still bud and sprout flowers when in these caves, so maybe it's not the sunlight they're needing after all. I'll be right back, Seidel. I've got some science to figure out.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I've still got other Pikmin types to discuss, so I'll jump right into the next design. So again, I wanted to make a Pikmin to almost predict what new Pikmin they would bring out, judging by the Pikmin 4 trailer. And one of the big things that Pikmin 4 revealed in that first trailer was a new possible night mode. And again, for those who don't know, a big thing about Pikmin is that, you know, they hide away during the nighttime. They don't, you know, it's too dangerous at nighttime. There's predators and things like that. So when the game announced a new nighttime mode, I knew there wouldn't be any regular Pikmin out in the wild. I knew there would have to be a new type of night Pikmin. And considering in the trailer, we also found these, you know, like glow pellets, I think they're called in the final game, but they're star bits from Mario Galaxy. They're inspired by like Japanese sweets, I'm pretty sure, which is, you know, kind of cute. So I like the idea of making like a star Pikmin, a specific type of night Pikmin based around these, you know, star bit like glow pellets. What would, you know, help the player out during the nighttime mode? Because in the nighttime trailer, it did look like, you know, enemies would become a lot more vicious and hard. So I wanted to create a type of Pikmin what would help you out in tight scenarios. And obviously each map in Pikmin is designed with a bunch of different hazards, all what require different types of Pikmin. You know, there's water, what needs blue Pikmin, there's electric gates, what need yellow Pikmin, there's fire hazards, what need red Pikmin, and so on. I knew at night time, since you could only have one Pikmin, I liked the idea of creating a special type of Pikmin what could be immune to all elements in a way. So I liked the idea of making this, you know, special fairy Pikmin what had these wings what could, like, you know, help it fly over any hazards. Like, I liked the idea that it wasn't necessarily immune to all these hazards, it just had the ability to fly or float around them, which helped you traverse the nighttime. But I also liked the idea that, I think the original idea was that it had this, instead of a regular flower, it had a star on its head, which would allow it to still attack things like electrical gates or, you know, like firewalls. It just wouldn't necessarily be good against fighting specifically like fire enemies. It was kind of immune to like the hazard alone just existing, but if it was a hazard in an attack, it still would probably be damaged. If any of that makes sense, kind of. I feel like if you're not a Pikmin fan, I don't know why you're 10 minutes in this video anyway, but you're going to be very confused. But either way. So let's address the obvious, if you do know Pikmin 4 and you've seen literally the next trailer, they introduced Glow Pikmin, which, yeah, I'm very annoyed that it took me this long to actually show this design in a video, but I did actually predict Glow Pikmin. I remember I had all these designs finished before even the Pikmin 4 trailer was out, what showed off Glow Pikmin, and I literally showed them an Instagram story being like, you know, I've got these designs, so if Pikmin 4 shows anything like this, I got there first, you know. Have I mentioned I've got an Instagram ever before? I've got an Instagram! You should check me out and like my other drawings what aren't Seidelmon related. Sometimes they're good, sometimes they're not at all. Either way. And obviously, they don't look exactly like Glow Pikmin, but the idea of a glowing Pikmin at nighttime, which is specifically immune to all hazards, kind of, which is basically what a Glow Pikmin is anyway. They are also nighttime Pikmin what are immune to all hazards, and specifically have a star on their head, or at least a star-shaped flower on their head, which is really funny. I just think it's funny that in my last video I made a Crystal Pikmin, which design-wise looked really close to the Ice Pikmin. However, you know, conceptually they're actually very different. That's Crystal, that one's Ice. They both played very different roles and had very different ideas. Whilst for this design, the Fairy Pikmin and the Glow Pikmin, it's the opposite, where they don't look anything that, like, similar at all, but they both were design-wise, like conceptually, very similar. So yeah, that's the Fairy Pikmin, not the Glow Pikmin. But yeah, I like how they're similar to, you know, like winged Pikmin, but also not, because they're a lot more lankier and a lot more, obviously, rainbow. And I like to think that they would also, like, you know, specifically glow in the dark and show off their rainbow colours. And I like to think that, you know, they would, like, you know, that's not just their still colour, they would, you know, change colour as, like, time goes on and things. I think, I just...
Seidel, you'll never
hello?
guess what I've discovered.
Space ducks. You've discovered space ducks.
What? No.
Oh. Well then, yeah, you're right, I probably would never guess. Alright, go on, tell me your hypothesis.
What?
What?
Well, I was thinking about earlier and how Pikmin don't appear to actually need sunlight, which seem to be the defining reason why they're plants, their ability to make their own food from the sun. But they clearly don't do that. They can blossom and live underground just fine. And the more I thought about it, they show several more qualities that are animal-like. Their high sensitivity and reaction time. The fact that blue Pikmin appear to have gills isn't only an animal-specific trait, but the presence of gills might also imply that they actually breathe oxygen, another animal-specific trait, as gills specifically extract oxygen through water.
Oh? So they're animals?
Not exactly. They might show more animal traits, but I think there's something entirely different. My theory began where other great things start, the bulbmin. Although the bulbmin simply seems to be a bulb bob with a Pikmin stem, that's because it is. It's told that in the games, bulbmin aren't literally the bulb bob body, but more the Pikmin stem growing out of it. Like a parasite, the stem appears to have taken over the host's brain to make them act more like a Pikmin. This to me immediately drew a parallel to the zombie ant fungus, a type of fungus that infects the way the ants' brains work, essentially controlling it. It even grows this weird stem out of the ant's head. So a fungus that infects the mind to act in a certain way and grows a long stalk out of the head. Basically a bulbmin. And if that type of bulbmin is a fungus, then I think it's actually very likely that the Pikmin themselves are also fungi.
Dun dun dun, I guess.
It makes a surprising amount of sense when you think about it. Fungi are produced with spores, the same way an onion spews out more Pikmin. There's obviously a lot of types of fungi, the same way there's lots of Pikmin. There's even a fungi that's fire resistant, just like red Pikmin. And other Pikmin types can also be explained through fungi. White Pikmin being poisonous, obviously. There's marine fungi. And since fungi breathe oxygen, it'd explain why blue Pikmin have gills. They can be large and dense as well, just like the purple Pikmin. Even weird ones like rock and ice Pikmin, as explained in Pikmin 4, appear to simply be rock and ice shells that the Pikmin nervous system grow through and live in. Now plants can grow in and around rocky structures but struggle to live and grow in cold places. Mold, though, has no trouble growing anywhere. Rocks, ice, even caves, anywhere. Just like how Pikmin can be found pretty much anywhere. And it explains how they can bloom and grow even with no sunlight. It's not the sunlight they're eating off of, it's the nutrients around them, the same way a fungi eats. That also explains how in Pikmin 4 your dog Ochi appears to grow a Pikmin leaf, the same way molds can latch onto other organisms and grow. This might go deeper than I thought. Sidor, I need to just double check some things. I'll be right back.
Okay, buddy, take all the time you need. Scientists and their ability to think. How I envy them. Either way, so let's just jump on to our third Pikmin design. So, as I previously mentioned, Pikmin 4 introduced caves, and we saw that in the trailer again. And last time we went into caves, in Pikmin 2, they introduced, as Soziris mentioned earlier, bulbmin, which are exclusively found in caves, and they provided basically immunity to every single hazard. They were like, they were really rare, you rarely found them in caves, but when you did, they were really valuable, because you could use them in literally any situation. Now, I was holding out hope that they would bring back bulbmin for Pikmin 4, so I didn't want to make a new Pikmin, a new cave Pikmin what would be immune to everything, because that would replace bulbmin. But I wanted to create a new type of Pikmin what you could still find only in caves. They were rare but still really useful, so instead of being immune to every hazard, they were only immune to a handful of them. And plus, last episode when making Pikmin types, I specifically based them off of my Equipmini designs, as I mentioned earlier. However, I did leave out one of my more prominent Equipmini designs, the Oil Equipmini. It's actually one of the three who live with me right now. How you doing, little buddy? I ain't that cute. So yeah, this is the Oil Pikmin. A Pikmin what is immune to several hazards like, water, poison, and maybe even electricity. Water because oil, sinks in water. Poison because oil is probably not healthy for you. And electricity because oil is an insulator, I'm pretty sure. I'm not the scientist here, so don't take everything I say as fact. So yeah, I like the idea that, you can find these in caves in random oil bubbles or something, and maybe even introduce a new oil hazard what only oil Pikmin can actually get through. Or maybe have like specifically saltwater puddles what are like really buoyant, so blue Pikmin are too light to actually sink down to, they can only float above it, whilst oil Pikmin being denser can sink to the bottom of it freely and carry things out of it. Again, I like the idea that they are really useful because they're all oily and slippery, they're very quick, and because they're oily, enemies enemies what grab onto them are a lot more likely to actually slip and let go of them because they're all slippery. You know, I like the idea that they're borderline on being broken, but obviously you can only get a limited amount of them when only in caves. They don't follow you to the surface, so, you know. There is a few problems with it, obviously. Because it is dense, it can't specifically swim in water. It'll always sink to the bottom of it. So if there's like an enemy you need to throw Pikmin at, like blue Pikmin, so they can specifically, you know, swim to the enemy to attack it. Oil Pikmin, if they can't reach it, they ain't gonna be able to swim up to it either. Again, I hope me wording that made sense. And obviously the big problem with Oil Pikmin, they're covered in oil. So if they're near fire, they will immediately die. You can't whistle them back, and not only will they die, they will literally explode like a bomb rock. So obviously that'll not only put a dent in your own army if you're not careful. If other Oil Pikmin are caught in that explosion, they'll also explode. So if you're not careful, you could create these awful chain reactions of just losing immediately like 80 Pikmin in one wrong throw. So again, they're a high risk, high reward type of Pikmin, what you can only get in caves. So yeah, the Oil Pikmin. Although obviously I'm going to have a bias to my little buddy here, the Oil Equipment. I am really happy with this design as well, and
Sidle, I've got some crazy news about Pikmin.
you like surprising me, don't you?
Pikmin being fungi isn't necessarily important on its own, but when you look at what they're actually doing, they appear to be almost sinister. In Pikmin 4, you learn that the onions can absorb people and spew them out as these weird leafling creatures. And throughout the game, you see the same thing happen to them as what I described with Bulbmin. They get these weird Pikmin stalks growing out of their head, and they appear to be completely brainwashed, just like the zombie brain fungus we saw in the ants. Now this wouldn't be too bad, if not for the fact that in Pikmin 1 we literally see the Pikmin actively carry a passed out Olimar into the onion to be Pikminified. You could argue that Pikmin don't know any better and wanted to help him, but as I mentioned in Pikmin 4, Ochi appears to become Pikminified simply by existing near the Pikmin. Whether they're aware of it or not, they're corrupting the life forms around them, just like real mold, spreading their leaves and brainwashing everyone else around them. In every Pikmin game, the main character always crash lands on the Pikmin planet, and it's always the Pikmin that appear to be at their side to help them, when in reality, they're simply taking advantage of lost explorers that have no other choice but to use them. Then in reality, it's us being used, just so they can spread their poison. Or maybe not. It's just a theory after all. Let's just be happy there's nothing like Pikmin in the real world.
Oh yeah, gosh, could you imagine?
What was that?
Nothing. But anyway, thank you, Soziris, for helping me out with your biology facts and ruining Pikmin for me. I can't wait to do more science with you where we can discover even more fun biology things.
Yeah, as long as I'm not busy or
You do not have a choice.
Oh, okay.
But either way, folks, that was making more custom Pikmin with some Pikmin facts. I made you wait for this one, so I thought I'd add a couple extra things to this one. Did you like it? You'll have to let me know, and if you didn't like it, you'll also have to let me know. The comment section is there for a reason. Use it. So yeah, did you like any of the Pikmin designs? Is there any you'd love to see in a real game? Did you like Soziris' segment? Would you like to see more of that? Again, there's probably not, you know, I'm going to be doing more of it anyway, but, you know, it'd be nice to know if you'd like to see it or not. But either way, folks, thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you all in a bit. Toodaloo! Bye!
Ow, that was loud.
Oh, you're still here. Sorry, I didn't realise.